Welcome then to our coverage of the Tour de France. This, the 8th stage, the time trial stage. We're looking at Sean Kelly in action right now. Kelly, of course, being well placed on general classification, starting out this morning just 1 minute, 4 seconds down on Thierry Marie, who is the overall race leader. The riders are starting in reverse order of general classification. They're starting at 2-minute intervals. They're covering the 73 undulating kilometres, and there we have the time check at the 31.5 kilometre point. Eric Broekink 41.35 ahead of Indurain by 5 seconds, but the information we have coming up from the course is that Greg LeMond, who desperately wants to do well in this time trial, is losing about 1 second per kilometre on Eric Broekink. He's been pushing an enormous gear so far when we've seen him along the route, and we're just waiting to see if he can preserve that momentum towards the end or can pick up a bit more speed. There we have the LeMond at 17 seconds now behind Broekink, who's leading. Alcala is at 25. So that's the position at the moment, with the board at the halfway mark. Indurain having set so far the fastest time overall. And that's the leaderboard. Have a good look at it. Kelly still pounding on. He's not on it yet. The time of Indurain at the finish was 1 hour 35 minutes and 44 seconds. He started this morning 3 minutes and 32 seconds down on Thierry Marie, and the rest of the riders at the back there will be watching that sort of time, but that's a hell of a hurdle to cross the 3:32. It's going to be much more interesting to see what happens further back. Sean Kelly, of course, no stranger to time trialling, a really punchy rider indeed. I remember watching him in the Nissan Classic in Ireland about 5 or 6 years ago when he set an extremely fast time from his hometown of Carrick on Sieur de Clonmel, and he passed 2 of his 2-minute men and was catching the 3rd-minute man in only something like 12.5 miles. I've got Alan Piper here with me in the commentary point. He knows Sean Kelly well, and I must say Kelly's giving all he's got, Alan.
Well, he is really giving everything he's got. I think Sean is really built up for this Tour de France, and today he really wants to make a good effort to see if he can stay in the same position in the general, or maybe move ahead of Broekink and Greg LeMond, try and take the yellow jersey for maybe a couple of days. He's had a good build-up after his accident at the start of the season where he broke a bone, and he was telling me that he wanted to come back more slowly than last year because he had his good form for the Tour of Switzerland last year, which he won, and by the time he got to the Tour he'd already gone over the top a little bit. But I think Sean's really done his build-up well here, and he's hit peak form right at the right time.
Well, the time for Sean Kelly halfway, 42.48. Indurain went through in 41.40, so he's just 1 minute and 8 seconds down. That's quite a respectable time against a specialist like Indurain.
Well, it really is. You see, Indurain's got a few years advantage over Sean. Sean is getting on in cycling years at the moment, and it's just a credit to the sport that this man just keeps fighting on.
And fighting on too, because on general classification 3rd at 1 minute and 4 seconds, and he's still pounding away trying to do well in the sprinters class as well, because he's now 3rd overall in the points jersey competition, 139 points to ABDOUTAPAROY 154. Musio leaping over Kelly yesterday to take 2nd spot with 146. No doubt about it though, when Kelly gets to the mountains and Mr. ABDOUTAPAROY finds it difficult to pull his large body over the big mountains, we might see Kelly in green yet again. 3 times the points jersey winner, the green points jersey in the Tour de France. He's a remarkable man, isn't he, Alan? I must say, of all this time, it's his 13th Tour de France. He goes into it with enthusiasm of somebody starting their first one.
It's really incredible. Have a look at that pain written all over his face now. That's the true Kelly grimace there as he rides along. I think we've got the young rider Lely here on the screen. Oh, sorry, it's Conti.
Yeah, they all look the same, don't they? Ariel Steers, who have unfortunately lost their #1 man, Rolf Sorensen. If you've been watching our coverage of this race, when he crashed a couple of days ago and then didn't start in the yellow jersey the next day with a cracked collarbone. Of course, as far as they're concerned, Ariel Steer, they want to get Sorensen back in good form. They've actually taken him down to Bergamo, and there he's going to receive treatment because the next round of the World Cup takes place in Brighton, the Wincanton Classic, just a week after the Tour de France finishes, and Sorensen is the World Cup leader, so the Ariel Steer team very keen to see him back in action. Well, here we are then, going like stink, still in full flight. PDM colours, many of the teams change their colours all over the time, but PDM has stuck with this particular design. Manufacturers of videotapes, part of the great Philips group, and one of the longest, not totally the longest supporters of cycle racing, but certainly they've kept at it a long time now. When we hear about so many teams pulling out the sport, PDM have had a very good group of blokes, and of course right now they've got in the top 10 overall, Kelly lying third as we started today, Brookink was fifth, and Alcala was ninth.
Here we've got Olaf Ludwig on the front now. It looks like he's just catching the rider in front of him. I wouldn't think that Olaf would be going for such a fast time today. I think he'd be trying to save a little bit of energy for the next stage bunch sprints, which is coming up, because he hasn't won a stage yet, and of course he'd like to win a stage, being the green jersey winner last year.
And he's still pretty quick though on his bike, as you rightly say. As far as Ludwig's concerned, it's the sprints that matter. He just didn't seem to have the sharpness of the form. I mean, we had so many mad gallops to the line. He's been hovering there or thereabouts, but hasn't quite clicked into action yet. But I think some of the other sprinters are beginning to get the measure of him now.
Well, I think there's so many sprinters, and it's just the Tour de France. If you can just time your condition right to come into the Tour de France, it's a lot of luck as well. You know, you need luck in the sprints. You need the right type of condition to come into the Tour, and it's not that Ludwig hasn't got it, it's just that there's so many other fast guys around. You've got ABDOUTAPAROY and Kelly, who's riding fantastic. You've got Monsieur, who's always up there and who's knocking on the door for a stage win any day. He's got a lot of guys to battle against.
Well, Ludwig is certainly going hard right now, and he's catching they've started 2-minute intervals, by the way, so if he's going to catch his 2-minute man, this is quite a reasonable performance for him. So, and we've gone back, the camera jumping backwards and forwards here, so we know picking up other riders as the cameras pick up other people. 166, that's Jan Gosmans, who's just been caught.
That's, I think that's Roel Alcala just in front of Olaf Ludwig here. And just before this commentary, I just said that Roel Alcala's got a beautiful style, and it looks like he's just being caught, so I don't know if Ludwig's going fast or Alcala's going slow.
It's called foot in mouth, Alan. It happens to all commentators from time to time. There's a bit of a road race going on here.
This looks like, yeah, a bit of a road race. There's two Castorama riders and one Weinman rider. Looks like they're helping each other out on this climb. But this happens often, that one rider catches the other, and then the one rider can keep the other rider in sight and sort of hold him at bay. This is Vyacheslav Ekimov, the second Russian rider in the Panasonic team, 10 times world champion pursuit and teams pursuit on the track.
And Ludwig hammering after his man. This is quite a chase we've got, and the race still goes on.
Eurosport.
As De Leon goes through, we have some interesting information about the halfway times. Subject to confirmation, we understand that Thierry Marie, the yellow jersey race leader, went through at 44.43, a time check which had Indurain go through in 41.40. So in fact he's some 3 minutes and 3 seconds down on Indurain, who start this morning 3 minutes 32 seconds down on Marie in overall classification. That is quite surprising if he's dropped that amount of time. We'll wait for confirmation of that one. Sean Kelly went through in 42.48. We haven't got all the times at the moment for you, but I'll give you some idea that even Kelly now has punched the thick end of a couple of minutes out of Thierry Marie. Kelly start this morning 1 minute 4 seconds down. So we certainly are seeing quite a number of changes going on here as the riders, we're looking down at Jadamani Abdul-Japarov, who does not seem to be enjoying himself.
No, it doesn't look like he's having a nice day today, but I would think this is a difficult race for a sprinter like Abdul-Japarov, and I think he'll be just trying to get to the finish inside the time limit. Well, what David mentioned before about Thierry Marie, that he's lost 3 minutes, I was just thinking before that that's pretty normal after only 2 days after such a long stage, when he was out the front for 235 kilometres to win the stage and win the yellow jersey back, and I would think that Thierry hasn't quite recovered from that day.
Well, if you didn't see that coverage, let me tell that, in fact, put him up in second spot for the longest escape in the Tour de France. Albert Boulon did 253 kilometres way back in 1947 when the Tour de France started after the war, and We have now got Maurizio Fondres coming in. Well, 140 we all set before the race started with the target to beat. It looks like a Panasonic benefit. Two of his teammates going back the other way. Fondres will be probably slightly disappointed with this one. He certainly lost a lot of time on Indurain. I'd have thought the two ought to be slightly closer on that one. 17th overall, the ex-world champion.
Well, it's not such a bad time for Fondres since he's not such a pure time trialist. I think he's just been trying to hold his losses today without losing too much time.
And this man must be Louis Hatfield, I should think. Not one of the world's greatest time trials. When it comes to sprinting, he's scared of nobody. But look at those thick thighs. That's a sprinter, isn't it?
He's got blocked legs and rear end, but have a look at his torso, how small it is down there. He looks really like a bodybuilder, doesn't he?
Yep. Well, there was a cartoon this morning in Lake Keep of the stage from Argentan to Alençon, and it was like a brick wall. And this little cyclist is standing, look at this great big brick wall in front. Of course, we know that the marathon runners are inclined to hit the wall, as they put it. So there we are. So the marathon runners then hit a wall. The cyclists today have got a wall for them in the Lake Keep. We just had some information coming through. My goodness.
Marc Sergeant and Johan Massoud just coming over the line there, but we didn't get their times up.
Well, it looks like Brooking some 2 minutes up on Thierry Marie on one of the time checks we just got now. So goodbye to yellow jersey as far as Marie is concerned. We certainly got that time at 44.43, showing he was going rather slowly. But that was a great disappointment, I think, for Marie. Still, the yellow jersey, he did, I think, defend it magnificently, but we all knew the chips were down today.
So who's going to take the yellow jersey today? They're out there fighting for it. It's going to be between Kelly, Lemond, Brukink and possibly Indurain if the others fail to get close to him.
Yeah. But of course, Indurain's got to climb quite a mountain, though, hasn't he? Apart from this wall in the cartoon today, because 3:32. I mean, Kelly 1 minute 4 seconds down, like he's a couple of minutes ahead of Indurain anyway. Lemond is still a couple of minutes. That's a lot to pull back, isn't it, for him?
It is a lot, because that's why I say the other two, Lemond and Brukink, would really have to sort of fail to get Indurain into the jersey, but I think he'll come very, very close, up in the stand there. He'll probably be 4th or 5th after today's ride.
And of course, Indurain is the right-hand man of Delgado and has normally ridden his heart out for him in the past. If he assumes a much closer position to the yellow jersey, that may have them all the way up. Back to our time trial. There's a Fignon coming up at the front. The whole gang of riders after him. So Fignon cheered on the way. He certainly is receiving a lot of applause from the crowd on his way through. 1:27. That's a reasonable time at that particular point of the course, but still probably a couple of minutes slower than some of the fast men.
Yeah, it is a good time. I thought that was Yellow Nidam that was just behind Fignon there.
Yeah. Hey, well, Nidam, my goodness, Nidam. Let's have a look at the start list. There's a great gap between those two. I was more looking at Fignon. And we still haven't got this little junction going on here at the moment. Still trying to get up there and go past him. I left Ludwig, and we're pretty certain that's Alcala in front of him. Alcala then being caught for 2 minutes. The camera can't go up any closer, of course, because they could be accused of tying Ludwig up. But if Alcala is there for 2 minutes, then this is quite a turn-up for the books.
Well, I think we just got it wrong, Dave, because Alcala started behind Ludwig.
Perhaps he's gone past him then.
I think he's past him and he's out the front of him now, so we made a boo-boo again.
Well, it's upside down, isn't it? So there we go. Yes, 15.5 was Ludwig's time to start. 15.7 was Alcala's. You're quite correct. We've got the general classification one way up and the start list the other way up. So please do bear with us. Bits of paper all over the place.
Here we are back with the green jersey again. ABDOUTAPAROY. He's making good headway up this hill, trying not to move too much. I think he'd be suffering a bit now.
Well, he's still working his way up here. Don't think we're going to see him in yellow. He'll just do all he can to keep that green jersey.
Eurosport.
So the time trial stage, the Tour de France, moving from the man in the green jersey to the red and yellow colours of the Ariel Steer team. And Conti here with 1:41 the clock at the moment, not going to threaten the top men. Just let me put you in the picture while watching coming to a finish of the action of the day. He first of all had a very good time set by Mari Prat. He had a good one, 1:37.17. He was just behind Bunyo, because Bunyo took over from Mari Pratt, 1:37.17. Bunyo's time was great, 1 hour 37 minutes and 15 seconds. Nobody held their breath, and that one stayed there for an awful long time. And then Jean-Francois Bernard came with a cracking time of 1:36.37. So he was now the leader, until of course Indurain burst upon the scene with his magnificent 1:35.44. He sliced nearly a full minute off the time of Jean-Francois Bernard. So those are some of the earlier times as we're watching these riders going through. Lely on his way. Chiappucci had a very disappointing ride. His time was 1:39.48. At that stage he was 11th overall, and I think whilst we're watching the rest of the riders come in, Alan, you listen to what he had to say to television, and Chiappucci certainly looked a bit distraught.
Well, he said it was difficult to lose 4 minutes on riders like Indurain and Bunyo, but he said it would be hard for him to get it back, and he looked a bit upset to be losing so much time. But I was just thinking before, he's done such a hard season already this year. He was ridden all the classic season. I remember he rode the Tour of Murcia and then the Tour of Catalonia after each other, which together probably makes 10 days. Catalonia finished the Friday night, and he flew to Milan that night, rode Milan-San Remo the next day, which is a 300-kilometre bike race, which he won, and then rode through the rest of the classics into the Tour of Italy, and was the most attacking sort of rider in that race, and rode fantastically as well. And now he's come straight into the Tour de France. It's just been one race after the other, where other riders such as Kelly, I've said before, Breukink and Bernard and Indurain and these type of riders have had bits of breaks during the season to really get into peak condition for this race. And I think that's probably why Chiappucci's having a bit of a lag today.
Well, Chiappucci finished in second place in the Tour of Italy, so to come from the Tour of Italy into the Tour de France, very few riders can maintain the form, and you're quite right, he's been going so hard this year, but he's that sort of rider, isn't he? He ruffles a few feathers by the way in which he's always prepared to attack.
Well, he's such an attacking rider. He loves to get out there and make everyone have some pain, but unfortunately there's only so much energy inside the body, and once that starts to give out, you know, your form can go down. Well, it's not to say that his form has definitely gone down, but this is not a good sign.
Well, Alcala at 52 seconds on Indurain. We've given the other times that the other riders have actually finished, so Alcala at that rate of knots isn't going to topple Indurain either, so perhaps further back down the start list, because we've still got after Alcala, Vermote, Cornely, Darnans, Breukink, Le Monde, Kelly, and here we're looking at Abdoujaparov, and of course Thierry Marie, the yellow jersey, last to start today at these 2-minute interval gaps.
Here we have Vyacheslav Ekimov just coming over the line, 1:42.43, not such a good time for Slava. That's his nickname, Slava, that's what everyone calls him in Russia, and he likes to be called Slava as well. World champion in the amateurs 10 times. This is not really his kettle of fish, the 73-kilometre time trial.
Well, I just had a check come in that in fact Breukink is some 5 seconds up on Indurain. At a check along the way, that is a cliffhanger, just 5 seconds up on Indurain. Still Indurain's time the one to beat, but as far as Breukink is concerned, he started this morning well ahead of Indurain on general classification. He had something in the order of 2 minutes and about 8 seconds up on Indurain this morning. So on that basis, whilst Indurain is still the best rider we've had in the time trial, Breukink could well be moving up close to that yellow jersey. But don't forget, he only started some 7 seconds behind Le Monde. Le Monde was pushing an enormous gear when we saw him earlier on, and we're staying at the moment with Abdoujaparov, here with the unpronounceable name and the unpronounceable second name. Let's tell the people who didn't hear the programme yesterday, Alan, what his second name is, because I can't pronounce it.
His second name is Gerald Hasanovic. It was a funny story in the Tour of Italy last year. I was riding with Jean-Paul Van Poppel, and we were in the last group, and Abdoujaparov was with us, and we said to him, "You've got a great name, Jumuladin Abdoujaparov," and we said, "What's your second name?" And he said, "Gerald Hasanovic." So it's stuck in my mind ever since, and if you add all those letters together, it must be about 25.
When they're typing it out at the press releases, he takes up a full page, or the whole line on the page. So he is, chunky rider, very strong man indeed, and undoubtedly the rest of the riders have seen the wrong end of him when it's been coming to the sprints. So we're getting more of this catching for Moat here, who and just up in front looks like he's catching up with Cornelet, isn't it? as Cornley up in front started 2 minutes in front. This would be quite a useful ride by Vermont to try and catch him for 2 minutes, and still the race is going on and the result in the balance.
Eurosport.
Christophe Levian crossing the line 1:44. We're back with Eric Breukink, who is now some 3 minutes up on Thierry Marie on the checks we're getting along the route, and he's also some 5 seconds ahead of Indurain. We haven't recently had a time check as respect of Breukink to Le Mans, but certainly he was gaining something like about 1 second per kilometre. This man Eric Breukink, who last year took 2 of the time trial stages in the Tour de France. He won the one from Fontaine to Villard-les-Lans. He also won the one at Lac de Vassivière. Great time trialist, and the way in which this man, he doesn't like to be known as a time trialist, Breukink, but certainly it's one of his specialities, and today must be the day when he's got the great opportunity of getting that yellow jersey back. Here he is, number 21. A couple of years ago he did well in the prologue, took over the yellow jersey, and then retired about stage 4 or 5. I think aroused the wrath of his team manager.
Yes, Eric Breukink didn't have such a good year then. He was with a different team, and that was a pretty upsetting time for him. And just after that he was virtually giving his marching orders, and that's how he came to ride for the PDM team. They sort of took him under their wing and brought him in, and he's really blossomed in the last 2 years. It was great to see, because Eric's such a nice guy, and he's such a dedicated professional as well. It's really great to see that he can find his form.
Look at this! He's just gone straight past him, like they're not in the same race. So Cornelet just doesn't know what on earth has happened. He's gone straight past him. He's gone past Vermont as well, and he went through him like they were still glued to the tarmac.
And he's already 100 metres ahead.
Oh, he's caught him for 2 minutes and 4 minutes. Absolutely amazing.
But you see they're trying to hold Breukink now so they can keep the same tempo as him. If you've got nobody out the front of you to sort of aim at, then it's you've got to make the pace yourself. But now they can see Breukink. You see Cornier riding on the other side of the road, making sure he doesn't get his slipstream from Breukink, but he's just trying to hold him at 50 metres, but I think in another couple of kilometres he'll have lost him out of sight.
Well, I should explain to the people back at home, if they're just switching on to Eurosport's coverage of Tour de France, that why some of these riders are here in the top 10 place or so. We had 11 men who broke away on day one and gained 1 minute 44 seconds on the rest of the field, and they were the ones that really sort of set the scene for the race we've had so far. And the one who benefited most of all from it, of course, was Rolf Sorensen, who then, when his team went and did well and won the team time trial on the Sunday, the Arrow-Steer team actually trouncing the rest out of sight. Finon coming up here, then those top 11 have always been there or thereabouts in the top place in the Tour. As Finon comes with unusual handlebars he's got here, he's got a down in the centre, he's got his own little calculator to tell him how far he's got, how fast he's going, his average speed. And unusual handlebars, they dip down out so that they are giving minimum wind resistance, and Finon is going extremely well. He really has gone for this one. Let's see where he's going to be in relation to Indurain on the line. As he goes across there, he's just going to get inside 140. He's 10th overall, 139.23 for Fignon.
That's not too bad a time for Laurent Fignon. There's been a lot of speculation about his condition, and journalists saying that he looked like stopping and he wasn't having such a good year and his sponsor was pulling out. But I think Laurent Fignon really wants to show them he's the black sheep of the French cycling, I really think. And for such a champion, it's difficult to take a lot of the negative publicity which he creates. I'm sure some of it is his own doing, but still it's not nice when you come into the biggest race in the world.
Well, there we had the leaderboard to show exactly how Breukink is beginning to take this race by the scruff of the neck, and with 20 kilometres to go, he's still riding with a very good smooth style, but it looks like a bit up here as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, it looks to be going uphill now. That's why he was just riding on the bottoms of his handlebars and changed gears, but now he's back onto the time trial bars again. Breukink's got a beautiful style, hasn't he? He hardly moves at all, the top of his body, which gives the maximum energy output through the legs. The less you move the top of your body and can hold it still, the more energy which flows through your legs. There's only a certain amount of energy in your body, and if it's going out in one direction, that's the way you want it to be.
Well, Breukink then, who started this morning in 5th place, has got behind him Le Monde, Kelly, Abdoujaparov and Thierry Marie. Eric Breukink, looking back at last year, he won that Lac de Vassivière time trial ahead of Alcala. Lejarreta was 3rd, Indurain was in 4th place, and Le Monde back in 5th. On the time trial, which is the hilly one, Fontaine de Villard-de-Lans, Eric Breukink was the winner, with Delgado second, Indurain third, Lecherette fourth, and Le Mans there in fifth place. So Breukink, well known as a time trialist, has already seen off most of those people and has now, on both of those two, beaten Indurain. When we had the Vitel Epinal stage time trial over 61 kilometres, Alcala won that one, so he's certainly not going too well today, but Indurain was back in second, Bugno third, Delgado fourth, Lecherette behind, sorry, Le Mans behind. Breukink was back at 2 minutes 40 seconds. So here we are then looking at that. Le Mans at 26 seconds after 52 kilometres. So Le Mans must be coming back. At one time he'd been losing 1 second a kilometre, and Le Mans has got some more life. We've got a race here, Alan. Oh my goodness.
Well, Le Mans at 26 seconds. It looks like he hasn't lost another second since the first 20 kilometres of the race. So he's holding Breukink there. And who knows what can happen. Indurain is 35 seconds down. I thought I saw already on Breukink's time. So these two guys are really sizzling for this yellow jersey.
What a race. And Le Mans, last time we had a race over this distance in the Tour de France was on the Dinant-Turenne stage when it was over 73 kilometres, and Greg LeMond won that when he won 38.12. Second was Delgado, third Fignon, Marie was in fourth spot, and Yates was back in fifth. Well, that was 2 years back on the Tour de France Roll of Honour, but Le Mans certainly great time. So that was the year, of course, when the Versailles Paris on the 24 kilometres, Le Mans pipped Fignon to the post. Tilly, in fact, was second that day at 33 seconds behind Le Mans. But Marie, I think, is suffering from that long break, as you were saying, Alan.
This is going to be a fantastic race. This race has just been building up from even the first day with the prologue, and then the second day we saw that famous 11-man group right away with Eric Breukink and Greg LeMond really forcing the pace. The Tour de France has been on this year since the first day. It's been a battle from the first day, and here we are after a week, and the battle's still on. There could be only seconds between these two riders at the finish tonight, and who knows what can happen.
Do you think there's anybody left in France that isn't watching the Tour, Brad? I mean, this crowd down is absolutely remarkable. Most of the way along there's been a vast watch of people. The last 20 kilometres is lying wall to wall with spectators. Lely coming in for the Ariel Steer team, 26th place, 1:41.08. And here is Greg LeMond. As Alan was just saying, he hasn't lost any time over the recent kilometres, still playing that enormous big gear, wearing number 1 as last year's victor overall, but he has just started today on the general classification back in 4th spot. So behind him is Kelly, ABDOUTAPAROY and Thierry Marie, and up in front of Le Mans is Eric Breukink. These two are riding. They started 2 minutes apart. It's the best way of getting accurate time checks when they're just 2 minutes apart.
Well, it's a very good way of getting it, and Le Mans will be getting the time checks on Breukink because Breukink's riding 2 minutes before him, so he gets the times before Breukink does. That's probably the way he heard that he was 20 seconds down after the first 20 kilometres. Maybe he got a slow start, but maybe he did that for an effect in the last 10 k's that he wasn't really going to fall in a heap, and maybe he'll be able to pull something out of the bag.
So these two riders battling for the honours of the stage and the yellow jersey. We've got 194 men in the race as at last night. Parra abandoned, by the way, in the most horrible conditions. He in fact was blown off his bicycle as they went across the Pont de Tanqueville and ended up crashing into the side of the bridge and broke 3 ribs. He's in hospital. A great shame then for the Yamaha BH team that he was eliminated. So we're back to 194 riders, most of whom have gone down the road ahead of Le Mans here, who's still got that very forceful, punchy style. He's dropped down a gear notch here because last time we saw him, he was rolling something. It must have had a dinner plate on the other side.
It's funny, you can look at the styles of these two riders between Eric Breukink and Greg LeMond. Breukink's just so smooth and he's just so slipstream sort of. He doesn't move the top of his body. It looks like he's hardly making an effort. And Greg's just out here. He looks like a boxer on his bike sometimes. He gets up there. It's just pure power that he puts behind those pedals.
And to come back again, he's won nothing this year. He's just been there or thereabouts, riding in various races, and to bring out this sort of sheer ability when he's racing before that. But I've seen him struggling and stuff, not as bad as last year, but this year he's come back again. I remember watching the Tour de Flanders when I think you finished 16th, if I remember certainly correctly. This lad was off his bike long before you got the finishing area, and he is in the Tour de France challenging for the yellow jersey.
He's just an incredible rider, isn't he? I don't know how he does it either. Anybody else that had ridden like him all year would have their morale in their shoes, and Greg just comes out the first day of the Tour and he finishes right up there in the prologue in 3rd place, so it's just fantastic.
And this is the man who won the prologue, took the yellow jersey, lost it the next day and regained it with a long lone break. We've got Alcala coming through now, having caught Olav Ludwig. Ludwig's still very close to him. Of course, he can only stay in a certain distance, but otherwise he'll be into all sorts of trouble. At 1:25, a respectable time, and look at this crowd.
There's unbelievable the amount of people along the sides of the road here. And normally for a time trial you don't get so many people because they can't see that much action. Just one rider's coming by one for one, but here in the Tour de France it's pain and the riders are giving it everything they've got, every rider from the first one to the last one.
Well, 26 seconds, still the gap as far as Le Mans is concerned. Brookink is the fastest man on the road, and Indoran is back on third as far as we're concerned now, and the time checks coming in, but 26 seconds, that's all, and Le Mans is fighting back. These last 15 kilometres or so is going to be an absolute showdown, because when they started out this morning, there was 7 seconds advantage as far as Le Mans was concerned from Brookink. Technically now, Brookink, if he holds this, could well be in the yellow jersey. We haven't seen any recent times from Sean Kelly or Terry. We know Marie is well off the back. Kelly was losing a bit of time as well. So it's a battle between Le Mans and Brookink, who started 7 seconds apart. Which way do I go? Good Lord.
Those people are really dangerous standing there, and I think Greg LeMond would have been a bit wary about running into somebody in the corner. The way he went into that corner, he was sort of holding off a little bit, and that's not so good for him, because he would have liked to go in there flat out, I'm sure.
At least they've got the Outrider motorcycles up in front attempting to clear passage through the spectators, because very much concentration, isn't it, on a time trial?
It's total concentration. You've got to be concentrating on your gears, on your speed, keeping your head down. You see Greg's trying to ride on that on the white line there. He just hit himself on the side. I wonder what that was for. He usually unless he's cutting these corners, see the way the road goes to the left. Now he hugs the left-hand side of the road, trying to cut down vital tenths of a second that he might lose. Now he switched back across to the middle of the road, following that white line, and back to the right-hand side now. When the road is going straight, he'll try to stay in the middle so he can hold his head down and watch that white line under him without looking at the road itself.
Thierry Marie looks like he's losing his yellow jersey, still on the way in towards the finish. And Marie beginning to struggle. He's got those unusual handlebars we saw Fignon using, but I don't think they're going to help him at the moment. That pain in his legs after that extremely long 234 kilometres beginning to show.
Yes, it must have been really difficult the other day. I saw some photos in L'Equipe, the French sports newspaper, and the faces Thierry Marie was pulling that day were incredible. He was out there for so long and in such heat, and he must be totally worn out that night, and I think that takes a few days before your body really recovers. And in the race like this 73 kilometre time trial today, you really need to be 120% good to make a good time.
And Rolf Goltz, who's also been entertaining us with his spirited riding. In fact, if you remember certainly correct, yesterday he got the best, yes he did, he got the Classement de la Compétitive yesterday, Rolf Goltz, and he's certainly inside the 140, so he's made a 9th place at the moment. I think the rest might push him down a little bit, but that's a respectable time for Rolf Goltz, who is still in there with a shout.
Well, you can see in 9th place he was 3 minutes behind, so other riders who were 8 minutes behind, it looks like a long way, but you know they could be in 25th or 30th place, so you mustn't underestimate the speed that these first riders are riding at.
Tremendous, isn't it? And sheer dedication, because this is where the battle is, and it should really well set the scene unless any breaks go away before we get down to the Pyrenees. This is one opportunity of the big time trials beginning to get back some time that they have lost. Of course, some have just been riding in the bunch waiting for daylight. We haven't seen Indoran at all on any of our coverage, and unfortunately we came on air and missed him on our programme today, because Tour de France Live picking it up with him being way down the list this morning when we started out meant that we didn't get a shot of him, but he's been riding in the bunch and he's used it to good effect.
Well, I think riding in the bunch is all right, but it's like I read an article about the Bernard Hinault road today in L'Equipe, and he was saying that somebody had asked, why does Delgado ride always down the back? And it's probably less stressful riding down the back. You're not up the front and having to fight with everybody for the front line, but the thing is, the way the Tour de France is being ridden these days, like in the first day when the 11-man break went away, with the good riders such as Brookink and Greg LeMond, if you're a Tour de France rider, you want to win the Tour de France, you can't afford to sit down the back anymore and just watch the breaks go away. You have to be up there, because now he's 2.5 minutes behind, and where's he going to make that up?
Well, he's got to make it up on some of the rides we're looking at now as Simon coming in towards the finish for the Castorama team. And 1:42.42, 58th at the moment. Back with Eric Breukink.
He's looking really smooth here, changing up a gear by the look of it. Beautiful legs on this rider as well. He's a really top-looking bike rider, a true sportsman.
Yeah, because his father was Davis Cup captain for Holland too, wasn't he? And one time owner of the Gazelle factory who make bicycles in Holland, and now part of the rally group.
Yes, Eric comes from a pretty famous family in Holland. His father is the organiser of the Tour of Holland, and that doesn't mean that Eric can rest on his laurels. He's got out there, he wants to make his own name, which he's done in the last few years.
Because he actually wasn't determined to be a racing cyclist day one, was he? I mean, he sort of come into it subsequently. He hadn't been pushed into it by the family.
No, and I don't think he really needed to be pushed into it, but you see, he had to find this drive from somewhere, and from his first year, he's really shone. Even in his first year as a professional with Panasonic, I remember he was the winner of the King of the Mountains in the Tour of Switzerland, and to do that as a first-year pro, only 21 years old, is a good point to start with.
And this year so far, winning the Tirreno Adriatico, stage win there. And of course the Tour de Japan out in America, a big event now, getting bigger and bigger and more successful and more popular. He won that one. He had 2 stage wins to win that one when his team rode extremely well. So he's crossed the Atlantic to win over there. Now he's back here in France. And there we have Thierry Marie, 52 kilometres. He's lost 5 minutes and 9 seconds now on Breukink. So he's 5 minutes 9 seconds down on this man you're now looking at. Thierry Marie well down. Breukink is going like a train.
Well, as I said before, it's going to be a fight for the yellow jersey today. Who's going to get it, Greg LeMond or Eric Breukink? We haven't had a time check from Sean Kelly for quite a while now, so we don't really know how he's going. He would be just behind LeMond, so 4 minutes probably behind Eric Breukink now, and it's funny we haven't had him on the TV at all.
And last year, of course, he won. We're talking about crossing water to go and race, apart from going over to America this year to win the Tour de Trump. Of course, he was over in Ireland for the Nissan to win that one as well, the Nissan Tour of Ireland. Breukink won 23.37, Delgado at 20, Bernard 58. Looking down the rest of them, Delgado, he's really taking the cleaners at the moment, isn't he?
Unbelievable, yes. There's Indurain's really riding well, and it just shows what power Breukink's got there. I'm going to be surprised to see what times they come over the line with Breukink and LeMond.
Well, LeMond is a great gutsy competitor and will certainly be responding to the pressure that's being put on him. To his entirely different style, as we said before, but this man really he knows how to do it. It looks so, obviously, so easy, because he really is going at fantastic speed, but it's just rhythm, isn't it?
Yes. Well, to make it look fast, he probably would need to ride a smaller gear and make his legs go around really fast, and then you would think he's going at a good speed. But the gear he's really riding now is like really big, and his legs only move slowly, but the speed you can see out there, you can see the speed there as he passes these people, just how fast he's going.
What were he on, 52 by 12 or 53?
Yes, he'd probably be riding, he probably got 2 chain rings on the front, maybe a 54 and a 51 or something like that, with a straight block, I think, today, 12.17 or 12.18.
And LeMond 1:24.09. Well, Alan here is almost fallen off his chair in amazement.
That was a really fast time. We've seen other riders come through there today in 1:35, 1:36, and Greg LeMond has really put the hammer down.
So LeMond it is, who knows what he's got to do, constantly in touch with the times of the riders up in front of him. So there's no doubt about now LeBlanc coming in for the Castorama team, the real race happening behind these riders, but still a respectable time, putting inside the top 10 for LeBlanc.
Yeah, that was a very good ride by Luc LeBlanc. I think he wants to make a good effort here in the Tour de France for his Castorama team, and he's ridden really well to come in 8th place.
So he's now finished, and still that big going round. Breukink won 23.37 at the 63.5. LeMond at 26 seconds, so he's holding it. He just loses the odd second here, but LeMond still 6 seconds down on Indurain. Bunyo 140, Mary Pratt 142. The battle between those two.
Yes, well, maybe this is not exactly the way Greg would like it, but it might be good for him to have the yellow jersey on Breukink's shoulders, because that means Breukink's team will have to defend the yellow jersey this week and have his riders out there controlling the race, just as the Castorama team from Thierry Marie was doing yesterday, which tires them out. And when they would really need to do the work next week in the mountains, they mightn't be so strong, and maybe Greg can take advantage of this.
So the battle's still raging, and undoubtedly when we get into those mountains, both those two, Le Mans and Breujink, are excellent mountain climbers, so there's no way that they're going to, at this stage, be able to settle their differences, because the mountains are also going to play their part on both of these two.
Yes, well, I would think anything can happen in the mountains, but probably they'll be just trying to watch each other. Maybe we might see it like 2 years ago with Greg LeMond and Laurent Fignon, the battle on the Champs-Élysées for the time trial. The next time trial in this tour might be the deciding factor.
Well, the two hills they hit first of all, I call them hills. We go up into the Pyrenees and start the big cracking climbs. That's going to be the start. But that's not till the 12th stage. So here we are on the 7th stage. There's quite a bit of time to go yet. And this is the man who is really trying hard to hold that gap or pull some back.
Yes, Greg LeMond looks like he's really giving everything he's got, like he always does in these time trials. He's in his saddle and out of his saddle and on the tops of his bars, and now he'll be getting back onto his time trial bars. He just pulls everything he's got out of his body.
So Vichot coming in to finish for the Castorama team. Yes, last year in the Alpe d'Huez, Gianni Bugno won that one. The four men swept round the finishing straight together. With Bugno, Le Mans, Breujink, Cravelet and Fabry Para finishing in that order, and they really raced across the line. Just shows that Le Mans and Breujink are no mean mountain climbers either.
Eurosport.
And on the flat then still the battle rages, getting down to the last few kilometres, approaching somewhere around about the 5 kilometre to go point as far as Eric Breujink is concerned, riding 2 minutes ahead of Greg LeMond. If you just join us, this is the time trial stage of the Tour de France. Raoul Alcala coming in, no mean time trialist. He's already caught Olav Ludwig. And the time to beat that of Indurain 1:35.44. Ludwig's done quite well. He's used Alcala, I think, as a bit of a benchmark, and rode him pretty well most of the last third of this time trial, using Alcala as something to keep him encouraged to go for it. He's even going to try and out-sprint him, the little devil. Ludwig, 11th. Ludwig likes a challenge for the line. You don't often see that in a time trial.
Not really. But here we are back with Greg LeMond. He's out of his saddle again and giving it everything he's got. We go over another rise, and Greg looks like he's really giving it power here. He's not dropping down at all.
Well, we were trying to work out the fact only when we had the last time check that although he's been running about some 26 seconds down, that he's got to pull back an awful lot to beat Breujink in this time trial, but still he's going to give it all. He's got ABDOUTAPAROY coming through because he's way off the back. We didn't get a time check then, unfortunately, for as far as he's concerned, but he's just going to soldier on to finish this time trial stage and just keep his deficit as best he can do. There we are. I thought he was 5 kilometres to go for Le Mans, and with Breujink 2 minutes up in front of him, Breujink will be round about approaching the 3 kilometre to go board.
Yes, Breujink will be getting close to the finish now, and Le Mans will be trying to pull everything he's got out of his legs. Look at the way he sort of switches and swerves across the road when he puts his head down. You see, he put his head down now, and he sort of crosses across the road when he's trying to keep in a straight line. He should be looking at that white line, but everybody has his own style.
There we are, Breujink under the 3 kilometre to go banner. They must have read my thoughts on the old camera, but the gap is coming down. He's pinched some more seconds back, Le Mans. He's closing on Breujink. That 25-26 seconds at one time, it's coming down now, and as he started out this morning with an advantage over Breujink of some 7 seconds, can he pull back enough on Breujink? It sounds almost impossible, but look at Le Mans going on this smoother road. I think he was a bit trouble with the crowd we saw earlier on. Le Mans is getting his head down. This is going to be the 4 kilometre to go barrier, and he goes under that one. Le Mans is really steamrolling this one now.
Yes, he's really going for it. I was under the impression that Eric Breujink had slowed down a little bit just up there. Maybe it was the corner or going a little bit uphill, but it didn't look like he was going quite as fast as he was just before.
Well, he'll be getting the time checks for Le Mans, and he really is going for this one. He's got that determination, the concentration, and I remember that when 2 years ago he won the 5 seconds he's got to within now. Oh, phenomenal. We knew he's coming down all the time, but that is extraordinary. He's chipped something like 20 seconds out of Breujink in the final few kilometres, and Le Mans is going for it. A, to win the time trial, and B, to take the yellow jersey. What a cracking ride.
Well, this has been a great ride of Greg LeMond, and I think his tactic has proved really profitable because it looks like he took a bit of an easier start and getting the good time checks. He just kept his losses really low, like 25 seconds for the first 60 Ks, and now he's just come blasting home in the last 15 kilometres, trying to pull everything back on Eric Brukink that he can, and now it's down to 5 seconds. So I think the winner's going to be really close.
So Brukink knows he's got a battle on his hands and certainly seemed to be digging deep to get some extra encouragement there. Brukink going around that sharp right-hander, and behind him the figure of Le Monde looming, I should think, I won't say in the mirrors of the following cars, because 2 minutes back is an awful long time, but he doesn't seem to be quite so determined as Le Monde, does he? It's almost nonchalant, his style at the moment.
It sort of looks like he's slowed down, yeah, like nonchalant, just like you said. I noticed that on the last shot we just got of Eric Brukink. It looked like he thought, I've got it in the bag or nothing can happen, but or maybe he's just blown his legs. This guy's just so smooth you can never really tell when he's tired or not.
So a bad shame for him, but Greg is getting all the shouts now. The time check's coming in. They'll have people up there radioing back to Leger, who is absolutely screaming at Le Monde. If Leger could ride faster, he'd be up there helping him, wouldn't he? Gosh.
But it seems funny that Brukink hasn't got anybody up there telling him what's going on, or maybe we just haven't seen it on the TV.
So it's still Le Monde hammering away here, chasing after a man who's 2 minutes in front of him. They've even got a megaphone on. What are we shouting for? They've got all ladies' technology here to make him go faster.
Well, I tell you what, if Greg's hearing that he's only 5 seconds down at the last couple of kilometres, his adrenaline will be flowing unbelievably. He'll be thinking everything, because then I can win it and I can take the yellow jersey back, which means so much to this man.
So there he is with his triathlon handlebars that he perfected and brought into the Tour de France the first time when he beat... I put my clock on this corner. Let's see what it is as he wangs his way around it. I did it with Brukink, and bang! 1:23 is the gap since Brukink went round. That's unofficial here on my stopwatch, but if that's so, he's gaining on Brukink like nobody's business.
It looks like he's taken 25 seconds or 35 seconds on Brukink, but look at Brukink, he's not even coming forwards to going up to the line now. It looks like he's totally crashed into himself.
So if that's true, that's another 25 seconds. Le Monde has got back, and Brukink is really struggling. The Indurain's time, 1:35.44, and considering how he was up against Indurain earlier on, he must really have taken a pacing. Oh, and he's puffing and blowing. Oh, the man with the hammer's got his legs.
I think this is what you call hunger knock, probably. He's just got to the end of his reserves, and he's got they take nothing to eat in these races, and it's a long time to be riding at your maximum, and I think that Eric Brukink's probably got hunger knock now. That means when your body gets to the end of all its energy and there's nothing left, and he's just trying to get to the finish. Look at that pain on his face now as he comes up to the line.
And the time down the right-hand corner, watch that one back home and make a note of it, because that's the one we've got to check, not only against Indurain, who certainly won't take the yellow jersey, because he started 3:32 down on the overall yellow jersey this morning. But it's a battle between Brukink and Le Monde. Oh, there we go, as he's coming up towards that line. Still, it seems like he's climbing the Alpe d'Huez at this moment in time. It's taking him a long time to get there, struggling for the line. 1:36.58 is his time against the 1:35.44. He's in third place. Well, my goodness.
Disaster for Eric Brukink, disaster. And here we got Greg LeMond. He's steaming up to the line now. He's going to take back his yellow jersey. He knows he can get it. He's giving it everything he's got. Look at the people cheering on the side of the road. They've cleared the cars out of the way, and Greg's down on those handlebars again. It's a hard finish here, but he's pressing everything he's got out.
Can he get inside Indurain's time as well? Will he take the yellow jersey with a stage victory? Or is he going to be content to beat Brukink on this one? Brukink's time 1:36.58. He's certainly going to get that one. Le Monde, my goodness, 1:35.32. Absolutely brilliant. Le Monde then takes the stage victory. He'll also take the yellow jersey. Yet again, a brilliant performance from Le Monde.
There's Greg LeMond just crossing the line now. They must have mixed up the times or something. They put his time up already and he hadn't even crossed the line. It must have been just the rider coming in before him, or who knows who it was. But I don't know if we've got the right time on the board yet.
Well, it must have been Cornelet coming up from the Z team as it was, so we'll have to add some more time onto that one, because the camera drew back a long one. They put his time up on Le Monde down the right-hand corner, stopped it and gave him first place, so we'll have to wait for official confirmation of that one, and unfortunately I didn't press my watch, but there we do have in fact that it was 8 seconds down on the time, and Brukink 1:14 behind Indurain, and Le Monde then just 8 seconds down.
Well, that's a disaster for Eric Brukink. Since his first year as a professional, every big stage race he's ridden in of 3 weeks, he's always had a day where he's cracked a little bit, and I think this might be Eric's day. I hope he doesn't have any more days during this tour where he has a bad day like this. It's just the last 15 kilometres and it can make it so difficult.
Sorry. And the yellow jersey on the shoulders of Thierry Marie, and it will go off when he gets to the finish line, or at least he'll take that one back with him as a souvenir. But he's battled tremendously to try and get it, because the Greg LeMond confirmed as the yellow jersey of race leader. He finished 8 seconds down on Lejarreta, but more importantly, the back behind him, he punched over a minute out of Breukink, which is quite remarkable considering Breukink was 26 seconds up, well into halfway through the race. So let's have a final look at Thierry Marie on his way down in towards the finish, because he started a long way after Le Monde, for some 6 minutes after Le Mans, say 8 minutes after Le Mans, so it'll be some time before he comes into finish. And along the way, the crowd giving a sympathetic round of applause. Everybody likes to see the man in the yellow jersey, because this is a sure sign of success, and every rider likes to wear it, and I know very few do.
Well, this is the fifth time that Thierry Marie's had the yellow jersey in his 7-year career, and he's a really top time trialist. It's been great to see Thierry get out there and win the prologue, and then get his yellow jersey back 2 days ago when he spent 235 kilometres alone. Take the yellow jersey back, and he's got to lose it today, but I think he'll be happy to just have had it for the 2 or 3 days.
Well, the yellow jersey on that unique bicycle. We're going back now, slow motion then, to see Le Monde come in, and apologies for the error on the screen when he came through the line, but certainly he's done everything necessary to get that yellow jersey, and to be one, according to my rough calculations here, there, if you look at Le Mond's time, 8 seconds down, Breukink back 1:14, that was 1 minute and 6 seconds difference between those two, and to think there was only 26 seconds adrift up to about halfway point. Breukink must really have suffered towards the end.
But Breukink was 5 seconds still up on Greg LeMond, I think, at 15 kilometres to go. So he just fell in a heap, the poor guy. He must be so tortured now, because he could have been riding for the yellow jersey. He would have taken the yellow jersey, and everything just fell in a heap. It's just bad luck, but that's the way the Tour de France is. The strongest riders come through, and you can see Greg LeMond is just showing again what a big man he is. He's taken the bull by the horns again in the first week of the Tour de France, causing these breaks and winning the time trial. He's just missed the Tour de France at the moment.
And Darnan's coming in to finish, looking a bit puffed and blown. So he went away with that 11-man break before the world champion, and he was in that nice position to be up there with the top 11 all the way through. But again, time trial not exactly his best forte.
No, I think Rudy will be just happy to get across the line the way we just got this facial shot of him there. He'll be glad to get back in his hotel and have this time trial behind him. 1:44, 91st position. That's not so bad for Rudy, but he's not really a time trialist anyway.
He hasn't really hit form this year, has he, after the success with that yellow rainbow jersey?
No, well, he started off the start of this year and wasn't going good at all, and then it was found that he had a bacteria, and he had to take medicine to get rid of that, and it was one problem after the other, and he hasn't really been able to find his form. And with all the pressure of being world champion weighing on his shoulders, everyone expects him to be riding good in every race he rides. The riders are all watching him, so they're never going to let him get away by himself just in clip off the front and win a race. He's got to really deserve everything he gets at the moment.
Abdul Jafarov's come back faster than we thought, 1:36.44. We were saying he's struggling way out there, but this is a cracking ride by Abdul Jafarov. We weren't getting time checks on him, but he's going very well indeed. This is phenomenal. He must have come like a train over the last half of this course, because nobody got him being a significant rider, and this 1:37 or so is a phenomenal performance. He's come back good, he's going well, and he's defending that second place on the general classification within fine style. This is a tremendous performance for the rider from the Soviet Union, riding for the Courier Jeans team in the green jersey as the leader on the points classification, and he's really lifted his game up somewhat, because we've seen him struggling. He's 7th, 1:37.21 in 7th place.
Unbelievable time, Abdul Jafarov. Well, nobody expected that. We had no time checks from him all through the race, and who can see how a rider's going when you only got him on the camera. It's unbelievable, but he knew he was riding for the yellow jersey as well, and this is probably his last chance to get it. Here we've got the Irishman Sean Kelly coming over the line. Not a bad time with 1:39.44 as well. He's lost his chance to get the yellow jersey, but he's ridden well anyway.
And the amazing thing is there, ABDOUTAPAROY 1:37.21, what Kelly 1:39.46. That's nearly 2 minutes faster than Sean Kelly.
Yes, fantastic ride this ABDOUTAPAROY has just done. We saw him in the second day of the Tour de France and the team time trial getting dropped not so far from the finish by his Carrera team, and they all sat up at the front and waited for him to catch them again so they could tow him to the finish. And now he's come out and done such a good time trial over the 73 kilometres.
And he caught Kelly for 2 minutes.
Yes, very fast.
That takes it. Kelly will get his own back in the sprint one day, I suppose.
Maybe he'll beat him once this week in a bunch sprint and win a stage like he wants to.
Yeah, I think Kelly will take him on the mountains. But there we are, we say that about ABDOUTAPAROY, and that ride was better than any of us thought, wasn't it? So even when he gets to the mountains, perhaps he'll haul his big frame over that as well and surprise us all.
Well, I don't think ABDOUTAPAROY will be surprising anybody in the mountains, no. But the thing is, there's not so many points to be won in the mountains, is there, David?
No.
There's a less amount of points, and I don't know if Sean's quite climbing so well as he used to be in 5 or 6 years ago. Yep. So ABDOUTAPAROY is going to make it a real big fight with Sean for the green jersey. Now, we mustn't discount Johan Monsieur either.
Well, it only goes from 25 for first, you see, on the mountain stages, rather than 35 that they've been getting on the flat. So there's quite a considerable difference in the points being scored in the mountains. 3 minutes to go for Marie.
Terry Marie here, 3 kilometres to go. He's just looking at his watch to see what his time is. He's riding quite smoothly here, but probably just trying to get to the finish now. He knows he's lost his yellow jersey, and well, I think he'll be happy to have had it for the 3 days. He's done well for his sponsor. He's done well for himself. He's shown that he's a top time trialist by winning the prologue, and shown absolute courage to get out there and attack after 25 kilometres in such a long stage, in such heat, ride 230 kilometres by himself, and he's a real credit.
Well, that's confirmation of the general classification at the moment, as it stands with Le Monde in the lead from Eric Brooking at 1:13. ABDOUTAPAROY 1 minute 21 seconds back, cracking ride from him. Indurain at 2 minutes 13 70 seconds, moving right at the general classification. Jean-Francois Bernard, that's a good ride by Jeff, putting him up into 5th place, and Bunyo in 6th at 3:51. The names that we've been having on our list of likely successes in this year's Tour de France beginning to come up into the top half dozen places already.
Well, I think Bernard's done a fantastic time as well today. Jean-Francois has been in trouble for the last 3 or 4 years trying to recapture the fantastic condition he had in 1987 Tour de France when he won the time trial up the Mont Ventoux and took the yellow jersey, and he's never been really able to find that condition again. Trouble with his knees and sickness and just general lack of form and probably morale. And had a bit of trouble with his French team during the winter last year, and he broke contract and signed a new contract for the Spanish team Banesto, in which Indurain and Delgado rides for. Maybe he's found new form. I noticed in the paper today he had a choice of 3 time trial bikes for this race, and he would decide just before the start. So if you've got 3 time trial bikes and he's riding like he is, I can see where he found his big morale.
So Jean-Francois Bernard at one time tipped as a sort of successor to Hino, as Alan was saying, didn't quite make it, but has come back with a bang. Is giving the Banesto team a great lot of riches and who to choose from, with Indurain now at the moment in 4th place overall on general classification, Jean-Francois Bernard in 5th. Delgado is going to have to be their domestique.
Well, at the moment he'll have to be the domestique, but I wouldn't put Delgado away. He did a time of 1:37.39, which isn't so bad. It's not really a top time, but he's not so far behind. We mustn't forget about the old Pedro. He might pull something out of the bag in the mountains.
Well, that's whatever he's waiting for, and particularly we've got the Pyrenees before we go into the Alps, and right down there, Banesto being a Spanish team, and the Spaniards loving bike racing. I mean, they've got, I think, more racing teams in Spain than anybody else has got at the moment. I think they have difficulty getting through the Pyrenees. Well,
there is a big following of cycling in Spain. I've raced quite a bit in Spain this year, and every small race you go to, there is masses of people everywhere. It's incredible how many people to come to the start just for the signing on. The Spanish enjoyment of cycling has really grown in the last few years. Here we've got Terry Marie coming up towards the line now. He's only got metres to go now, and he'll take the yellow jersey off now and give it to Greg LeMond tonight. he's done quite a good ride actually, David.
Yep, sympathies go out then to Terry Marie. He's won 43 races in his time, and here is then coming up the finishing straight wearing that coveted yellow jersey, the crowd rising to its feet to give this man a big round of applause. He's battled his way through, and what a great competitor he is too. Prologue specialist, but today in the time trial he's showing that they still won't go down without a fight. And he's coming up then, he's going to be just outside the 141 all the way around this course. He's known in front of him a lot of riders will be going a lot faster. He knew that the talent of Le Monde and the speed of Breujink was something he had to go for. He's battled his way through. Thierry Marie then coming through here, comes from Benouville, and he's going to hit the line with a time 1:41.09, putting him in 35th place.
Well, it's not such a bad time for Terry. I think he was 5 minutes down on the front guys already at half distance, so he's cut his losses and not lost too much.
Well, there we are. That's the general classification as it is. Le Monde, Breujink, Abdoujaparov, Indurain, Bernard and Bugnot in that order.
Eurosport.
Indurain, the winner of today's time trial stage over 73 kilometres. The crowd going home having seen an absolute cliffhanger. Greg LeMond was behind him in second place just by 8 seconds, but Indurain triumphed at the very end, having set a cracking time early on in the time trial, but everybody knew what they got to beat and moved himself up the general classification as well into 4th spot. So Indurain showing now that he's a man to be in contention for the yellow jersey, but Le Monde snatching it back then and getting it back on his shoulder. What tremendous lot of success Le Monde's had in the Tour de France. So there he will come forward and take that yellow jersey yet again. This has become a tradition for him, I suppose. He finished in 3rd place in the Tour de France in 84, 2nd in 85. He went on to win it in 1986, again in 89, and last year he won it yet again. Le Monde says he would like to try for the 5 times that Merckx and Hino have scored in the Tour de France. And on this form, Alan, I think he's in with a shout this year.
Well, the way he puts so much pressure on himself for the Tour de France, it's not outside his grasp to take 5 Tour de France's. This would be his 3rd on a row if he could win. The Tour's not over yet. There's still 2 weeks to go, and I don't think we've heard the last of Eric Breujink and Pedro Delgado and Miguel Indurain. But Greg's made a real good start, and look at those red cheeks he's got there from that lipstick.
Well, I thought Kathy, his wife, will be there because the other family come over, his children come across as well, his father comes over to the Tour, and the Americans, as always, giving great family support to their competitors. And their confirmation then of the general classification, once again, Le Monde in the lead from Breujink, Abdoujaparov in 3rd spot, Indurain behind him, Bernard and Kelly. In fact, he's in 6th place, so Sean's still in there with a little bit of a chance. Time for us then, Alan Pye, myself, Dave Dawes, say goodbye.
Eurosport.